this is Lulu. Welcome back to my channel. I took an Uber last month and talked with the driver during the short 10-minute trip. He said he wants to become an UI designer. He took all the courses and spent a lot of effort, but because he had no working experience that correlated to the UI design, he got zero interview. I can see the disappointment on his face while he was sharing his story. I think a lot of people may in the same boat. The job you picked it in your early 20s may not be the one that you want to keep doing for the rest of your life. If you are one of them, you are on the right way. Today, I invite Joanna Oliva, the senior analyst at UPS, to share her story. She has worked for different industries, including hospitality, non-profit organizations, and manufacturing companies in different roles, such as marketing specialist, event coordinator, analyst, and product manager. She will give us excellent advice on successfully switching industries and careers. Let's kick it off. Hi, Joanna. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Lulu. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So let's just kick it off. So Joanna, would you mind introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Joanna Oliva. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I'm a first-generation Cuban American. So my family migrated from Cuba, and my background has quite a mix of different industries. So I've worked in hospitality before. That's what I did my undergrad in, but I slowly transitioned over to events, marketing, and I've done some product management as well and coaching. But right now I am currently a senior analyst at UPS for the International Customer Experience team. And I graduated with my MBA along with Lulu back in May from Georgia Tech Scheller College of Business. So I'm excited to be back here and connected with Lulu again.
Thank you. So, like you mentioned some interesting point that I want to know more. You have worked for different industries. They include the hospitalities, the non-profit organizations, and manufacturing companies. How do you convince yourself to make those like industrial changes?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a mixture of self-discovery and learning a little bit more about what different careers there are to offer out there. So I originally went into hospitality because I wanted to give people the great experience of when they go to a hotel or vacation with their family. They have exciting times and I help contribute to that. But after some time, I realized that my motivation was more in just improving people's lives overall and their experiences. And through some of my roles that I volunteered in, doing marketing for a gaming committee and volunteering for nonprofits too, I realized that marketing might be a good avenue for that. And from there, I realized, okay, there are some jumps I can make, and there's definitely some transferable skills that I can use. So I decided to just go for it in a series of different ways. So looking out for job listings on LinkedIn, trying to connect with people on LinkedIn and Facebook, reaching out to any of my contacts, just applying to anything I find online, and just learning more about the subject matter or the industry that I want to
go into. Nice, thank you. So I know in the market, it's hard to make the jump between industries. And how do you impress the interviewer? Like to show that you have enough experience and knowledge about this like new industry during the job interview?
Yeah, definitely. So there's two ways that I primarily focus on doing that, especially when I'm jumping industries. So the first way is that I try to look at the job description of the job that I'm applying for. And I really take a moment to step back and think, okay, what in my current roles or my past roles might relate to this current job? So I might have been doing event coordinating for a career fair, but that meant that I not only event coordinated, but I also have the skills of communication. Getting over 50 different companies in line to come and attend an event at the right time, at the right location, can sometimes be a handful. So I also have organization skills. These are several different aspects to it. I also have social skills and soft skills. So kind of looking at those and thinking, okay, how would this apply to this new role? And then making it more robust by thinking of specific examples and stories that you could tell. I feel like people are really motivated by stories and they feel like they can more accurately kind of relate to you and understand things if you give them some background context. So if someone had a question about how would you organize this? I give them an example of this is the time where I organized an event with over 1,000 attendees, over 50 people that were showcasing in an expo, and all of these other things that I had to handle on my own. So I think really drawing a narrative and showing that even though you're not doing exactly what you're going to be doing in this other role and in this other industry, you still have the skill set and similar experiences that show you can kind of morph and grow into that specific industry you're trying to go into.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. You don't need to be 100% qualified for this role, but you can show that you have 200% of the potential for that role. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then the second part of that is also that when you're in the interview, let them know that you've done research not only on their company, but also on the industry and general trends. Even a quick Google search or Google News search beforehand with some keywords about what industry you're looking to go into a company is extremely helpful. And putting those points into questions like, why do you want to work for this company? Or why do you want this role? Those are moments where you can sprinkle that in and it shows them that you have that motivation as well.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so there's another things I really interested, which is you keep changing or explore the new career path. So when I first met you about like 3 years ago, you are a great marketer, right? During the 3 years, you tried the analytics role and the product manager's roles. What motivated you to get out of your comfort zone and to make those changes?
Yeah, so I think naturally I've always had an inclination for change. I've always been excited to experience new things. I mean, I moved away from Miami from home when I was 18, experienced a different area. Then I moved to Georgia. And my family has moved countries. So I thought if other human beings have accomplished such great things, I think it's safe for me to explore a little bit more and get a little bit more out of my comfort zone. So I decided to kind of just jump ahead and try those out. I landed in the analytical role a little bit more through a promotion because I had some of that foundational knowledge in analytics through social media marketing. They decided these are some analytical skills that you can use in another set of communications. So I was able to kind of expand my skills in that way. And that was extremely helpful, even though I made a lot of mistakes, and I tried several times. It's definitely a learning experience. And at the end of it, you feel fulfilled. You feel, okay, I was able to accomplish that. And I was able to provide a skill that was needed in an area where they don't have this expertise. So I feel like getting out of your comfort zone is something that you need to understand why you're doing it. Like I wanted to switch career paths because I thought that my trajectory to become whatever I want to be in the future is better aligned with something a product manager would do. So what are the steps that I could take towards that? And slowly but surely be patient, know that it'll take a few steps. Take some work. It'll take some learning, take some mistakes, and then eventually you'll probably end up over there if it all works out. So I think it's just a matter of being patient, trusting yourself, knowing that there's going to be mistakes, and it's a learning curve for everyone. No one knows everything about everything.
I really like your positive attitude. So, is there any difficulties while you're changing your career path?
Were there any difficulties?
Yes.
Yes, there were several difficulties changing in my career path, which is actually partially why I decided to pursue my MBA. So I wanted to transition away from event planning in general. And the role that I was in before I started my MBA was an event coordinating and marketing role. And I thought, I don't want anything to do with making events anymore, maybe in my free time, but not for my career. So I decided people keep on putting me into this box of an event coordinator because I did it so well. So it just kind of led to one thing and another, and it became my career. So I decided I need some sort of certification, some sort of degree that shows, hey, I am competent in other areas. So you might want to hire me for that instead. But also as a way to kind of affirm to myself, hey, you can do something different and you can be good at something else. So you might as well try it. And then the other difficulties I've had, I would speak to different people on how they would reach the career path that I wanted. And there was always a different answer. Like there was always someone that had a different background, went to school or didn't go to school, or there was just a lot of different paths to take. And I had a difficult time figuring out what was the correct path I wanted to take, or the correct path to me that I wanted to take to get to that goal. And I had some people say, well, I don't think you'll be able to make that career jump for another 5 to 10 years. And that was kind of jarring to me, considering I was already in a process of trying it out and I was hoping for something like 2 years or maybe a year later. But I think a lot of people might say certain things and you just have to go with your gut and continue pursuing it. Because at the end of the day, I was able to become an associate product manager within a year, rather than waiting 5 or 6 years as the other person had recommended to me. But I did apply to hundreds of jobs as well. It wasn't a first interview. I got the job. I went through several rounds of interviews with several companies, and it took a while for me to be able to get an interview, which I think is common, especially of a lot of graduates thinking I'm going to have a guaranteed job after school. But in reality, a lot of us apply to like hundreds of jobs and might hear back from a handful of them. And it's just a numbers game, but you also just got to be really prepared for whatever situation comes into your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, especially the market is not that good. So like people maybe also like feeling upset that they like submitted a lot of like resume applications, but never heard back from the recruiters. But I truly feel like take it easy, right? Like the first step is truly just like you make that move. And
Yeah.
talking back about that, so many people's like others may just not finding values in their current role, in their current job, but they feel hesitated to make the changes. So what's your advice for them?
Mm. So I always reach that point of, I wouldn't say contention, but I always reach a point in my jobs where I think, okay, how am I feeling in this job? Can I do this for another year, 2 years, 5 years, etc.? So what I end up doing is I end up making a pros and cons list, which is very basic. But I essentially will weigh out the pros of staying with the current job, the cons of staying with the current job, and then the pros and cons of whatever career path or whatever next career step I want to take. And a lot of the times when I've done this and when I've recommended other people to do this, I've noticed that a lot of the cons are things like uncertainty. I don't know exactly what the new role is going to be like, or I don't want to let people down in my current role, or my boss that has given me a good opportunity, or my coworkers that have worked so hard on this project together and I'm suddenly leaving them. And it's a lot of emotional things that ultimately it is important to keep your relationships. It is important to be respectful of others. And it is important to know kind of where you stand, but you don't know what could be if you don't leave. So it's kind of thinking, will you regret it more if you stay in the same place and you continue working with the same people and continue building a relationship with them? Or would you regret it more if you left and maybe still kept in contact with them, but you're expanding your career, you're challenging yourself, and you're maybe experiencing something different? So at the end of the day, just kind of look at that list and think realistically, how much joy does each of these bring to me? And for how long will I feel bad about leaving my coworkers? Or for how long will I be nervous about the uncertainty? Because when it comes down to it, even if you move and you might think this isn't what I wanted to do really, it's still a learning experience and you'll be able to tell, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So these are the things I'll try to avoid in my next career move or next company or wherever you go. So I think it's just being really realistic and thinking, okay, how much will this really impact me? And if I want to move, why do I want to do it? And why is it important to me? Keeping that in mind.
I like that. So you have successfully switched your role on the job market for several times. Is there any success recipe that you can share?
I don't know if there's an exact recipe, but I think a lot of the friction that people tend to experience when they're looking for that new job is thinking that they don't have the right experiences for it. So definitely reflect back on what you've done and kind of how it relates to it. But if you don't have that experience, I honestly recommend going out and getting other certifications that have coursework in it, and you can use that as part of your portfolio, or you can do a volunteer role in a nonprofit or a local organization. So for example, when I wanted to get into marketing, I volunteered for the video game committee at Florida State, and I did marketing for that committee. I also worked part-time at a startup incubator and accelerator program, and I did marketing for them. So even though money and time are very important resources, I think it's important that you explore those areas and you can build that experience so that you have a solid example once it comes to the interview or when it comes to even building your resume. But otherwise, I think it's really just understanding yourself and understanding your worth, which I think is a little bit difficult. I think people need to process that a little bit more and understand that you are capable of achieving what you want to do.
Yeah, I like that. So it's basically, how do I say? It's just like I feel that sometimes I don't know what I truly want to do, but I think based on what you're saying, actually we can break it down into small pieces to help myself to get there. Like instead of just think about what I truly want to do, we can break it down to what the skills I currently have and what I want to be and what's a gap there, and to like quickly or easily to make the switch.
Yeah, so you segment it and you also think about where you are now, where you want to be. And it doesn't have to be a big grandiose picture of like, in 20 years, I want to be a CEO. It could be as simple as I currently work 60 hours a week. I want to work only 40 hours a week. So how can you do that? Is it switching jobs? Is it asking your boss to reduce your workload? Is it better time management? Is it automating processes? So just brainstorming of different ways to approach it and in a way that works for you.
Nice. So come to my last question. So as a highly educated female, what's your advice for the females in the job market that wants to pursue a higher or better career opportunity?
That's a good one. Um, what piece of advice? So I honestly think that a lot of women have, just due to society and the way that we're brought up, we just have the predisposition to kind of stay quiet at times where we feel the need to kind of speak up. And I encourage women to just kind of think, okay, if I have an opinion on something, that opinion should be heard just as everyone else's in the room should be heard. If you look to your coworker, you wouldn't look at them and think after they say something, you wouldn't say, "Oh no, that was terrible." No, like you don't. People don't naturally incline to do that. So if you were to say something, think that other people would see you the same way you would see them. So I feel like go ahead, be bold, state what you want, state what your opinions are, state what you think the next plan of action should be. And you never know. It could be a completely different perspective than what already exists in the room, especially when you're a minority in the room. And they might have not thought of that solution, and it might be the right solution for that situation. So be bold and know that you're valid and you'll be heard and you can progress and move on. You just need to collaborate a little bit more in order to understand how other people work and kind of understand how to move up as well.
Thank you. I like that. And thank you so much, Joanna, for spending time with me. I like all those thoughts, and I think it definitely going to inspire those people that who wants to make us like a career changes. Thank you so much today. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.